So a big hello, and we are live for another Lunch and Learn. Today we're going to be talking about going online and selling online, and in particular, how we can get seen. If we can't get seen online, we can't get business. In particular, we're going to be talking about the trading online voucher and how that can help your business. And I have some pretty amazing guests with me today. So let's say hello to our guests. Hello, guys.
Hey, Greg. How are you?
How are we doing?
Hi,
So,
Greg.
hey, Greg.
How are you, Greg?
Oh, there we go. Everyone's here. Everyone can hear us. This is fantastic. So, at the very top there, looking nearly tanned because he's holidaying in Costa del Cork at the moment, is Noel Davidson from the Entrepreneurs Academy, also known as Mr. Trading Online Voucher himself. Now, Noel has helped literally thousands of businesses understand the importance of digital and how they can leverage the online space to generate sales. So you're very welcome, Noel.
Thanks, Greg. It's brilliant.
And we're not going to do even ladies first or even ladies second. Let's go down to Paul. We have Paul McGuirk here also from the People's Republic, based in the People's Republic in Cork. He is the head of enterprise at the local enterprise office in Cork City. And it's a big hello to you, Paul.
Hi, Greg. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, Paul's going to be talking about some of the other local enterprise supports that we can avail of. Now, this is why I did it, Aisling. Last but certainly not least, we have Aisling Flanagan. And Aisling Flanagan, God, I've got a novel here for you. Founder, director, sales and marketing guru of the quite incredible Velvet Cloud based in Mayo. What's the Velvet Cloud, I hear you ask? Well, the Velvet Cloud manufactures, produces the most amazing goat's milk, goat's cheese, and goat's yogurt to the food sector, the retail sector, and you can even buy it from their fantastic website. Not to mention that.
Sheep, Greg.
Sheep. No, there you go. Sheep's milk.
Sheep.
There you go. You'll get me there. And then last but not least, as we talk about sheep, you've also provided business mentoring for the local enterprise office in Mayo, Enterprise Ireland, and even lecture for UCD. So a big hello to yourself. So let's get the show started.
Thank
I
you.
go red, talking about sheep.
Your local enterprise office, helping your business respond.
So there we are. Okay. All right there. Okay. So first question. So we'll start off with all of us. Why is it so important to be able to trade or do business online?
So who wants to take that one, guys? I'm so passionate about this one that I'll probably go on a long time about it. But let's go straight to the point. You know, COVID has not only attacked our immune systems, but it's attacked businesses. And as a result, lots of businesses have moved online. We were just having a chat in the last week or two, and I'm sure Paul and Aisling will agree. We think that the country as a whole has moved about 5 years into the future as regards digital, because we had to. Every business is online because that's all we had for the last 4 months. The only way that we could contact, look up products, services was online. So if you're not online, you're never going to be found, and you won't be there for the new wave of business as it is, which is all online.
Okay, fantastic. Anyone else got anything to add there?
Yeah, I suppose as Noel said, I suppose.
No, I think. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Aisling. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, totally agree with Noel. I mean, we would have found that we lost 50% of our business overnight, which went into the restaurant sector. So had we not gone online, which we only just did, and we were forced into it because of COVID, we wouldn't have been making the recovery that we're making now. So it's an imperative. And what's really interesting from us is it's opened opportunities to us, markets to us that we would never have, if you like, discovered had we not been forced online. So again, we've been forced 3 years, I suppose, down the track that maybe we wouldn't have been on had COVID not occurred.
Okay, and he was desperate to get in, Paul.
No, as I said, in the same way that the move to remote working really accelerated in COVID, so has the need to move to online. And as Aisling said, I suppose it opens up a huge new market. People aren't confined by geographic boundaries anymore.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. And the reality is if no one knows we exist, they can't buy from us. So if I'm looking, Aisling, if I'm looking for the best sheep yogurt in the world and I don't know that you guys exist, can't buy from you. So it's very, very important. So let's talk about a brilliant support through the local enterprise office, which a lot of us will know, which is the Trading Online Voucher. Now, the Trading Online Voucher is a super resource to help small businesses either enhance their presence online or build a presence online that can help generate them some sales. So very quickly, let's just take a quick intro on what the Trading Online Voucher is. So there we go. That's in essence what we're going to be talking about today. No, very, very bland or big question for yourself, but we saw a little bit about the Trading Online Voucher there. Explain to me, what exactly is the Trading Online Voucher?
So believe it or not, up on my Facebook feed this morning, it comes up the memories. Well, 6 years ago today, I was in the Celtic Ross Hotel in Carbery, also in Cork, in West Cork, to have packed house for a Trading Online Voucher seminar. I'm going to go back slightly further than that. The voucher, including the pilot phase, is nearly 7 years in existence. But prior to that, there was another initiative that was run with the local enterprise boards at the time, which was called Getting Business Online. And we realized that people were stopping using the yellow pages, the golden pages and the listings to find local businesses and services. We were starting to use our browsers, we were using Google search, and mobile was becoming more important. So an initiative called Getting Business Online was born, and you got a free website for a year, free domain name registration and hosting. The problem was, Greg, that while it was of a certain success level, it developed a problem, and that was that people started to develop what we call brochure websites. So if you think of a brochure, it's a page, you can read all the information on it, but you can't interact with it. If you click a page, nothing happens. And websites were like that. If you clicked on an email address, it didn't open up in your email app ready to send. And if you clicked the telephone number, it didn't open up ready to dial. And people definitely were not buying products or booking services. So the Trading Online Voucher was born. Its whole ethos from day one was to help people as small to medium enterprises do business online, whether you sold products or you were a service, so people could book your services. And we didn't get it right on the pilot phase. And I tell this to everybody because I remember we chose during the pilot phase 25 successful applicants. And then I came in to do the training, and then we realized we got it the wrong way around. So we flipped it. The reason being was after the training, people realized, I shouldn't have applied for that. I should have applied for this. So one of the most important things for the Trading Online Voucher is you've got to do an information session. And your local enterprise office are running those on a frequent basis. And it's roughly one a month at the moment. If you look at localenterprise.ie/your county, that's probably the easiest way to find it. Have a look on the list of events, and there should be a Trading Online Voucher information session there. And you find out not just how to apply, but more importantly, what you can use the voucher for. And as Aisling said there, and she'll be talking about later on, I'm sure, how she'd had to pivot her business, and the voucher helped her move that offering online.
Okay, brilliant. So you mentioned we need to do an information session. And I mean, I think the most important thing with this information session is to help you maximize the amount of money that you're going to receive to help you get more business. So it's a way of ensuring that you use the money wisely. It's a very, very positive thing. You also mentioned that it's the localenterprise.ie website where we can go to find out how we can book a session. So, for example, just to keep Paul happy here, if we go to localenterprise.ie/Cork City and we go down to upcoming events, I can see that there's a trading online webinar on the 27th of August. So one of our first steps is to book ourselves on that information session. So that's localenterprise.ie/your county. What's covered in the information session? No.
So there is eligibility criteria, and you must remember it's aimed for small to medium enterprises. So you have to have a turnover of less than €2 million. You have to have 10 or less employees. And many people said, it's just myself. And that's okay. It's between 1 and 10 employees. And most SMEs, if you've set up a business, you've got 1 employee, it's yourself.
Yeah.
But it's 10 or less. A turnover less than 2 million. You must be based in your local enterprise office area. In other words, what we're saying there is apply to your local area for the training in that area, and then you will apply to that local enterprise office, your local enterprise office where your business is based, for the voucher. It's not for startups at the other end. You have to be trading at least 6 months. The reason for that is most startups pivot in the first 6 months, and it was a one-time only offer originally, and that has changed slightly, which I'll get to it. So we wanted people to use it wisely, as you said, and use it to its full extent. So a startup, we didn't want people designing websites and then the business changes and they've used a voucher for something else. The very top of that slide there, it said limited online trading presence. Now, we're often asked about that, and that's the great thing about the trading online voucher and the information seminar. You get a chance to think about where you are at. So your limited online trading presence is your starting point, and it could be your position A. For some people, that is no website. For some people, is I have a website and it needs an upgrade, or it could be as a result of COVID, I've had to change and pivot my entire business, and the website that I built last December and January needs to be revamped. So that's your starting point, and you show then in your application how you're going to use a voucher to move to position B, C, D, E, F. You have to show progress. So the limited online trading presence is different for everybody. Now, there are some exclusions for eligibility, and I'll explain that. Traditionally, there were so many businesses that in their area of business, or category, if you like, they always end up with brochure websites, and they were deemed automatically ineligible. So we've had in the past where you have to show some way of improving your business situation by trading online. So if you're selling product, you're going to start selling product online. If you're a service industry, you're going to be able to take bookings and take payments online. And one of the analogies I use, Greg, is most people drive a car and have gone in for an NCT test for their car. And one of the first things you can do is sit down with a digital advisor or a mentor in the local enterprise office, and they run an NCT style test on your business. So you'll get a little report that says this is a pass, these are fails, and these are fail advisories. And it's a lovely way to start about deciding what you're going to get done.
Okay, brilliant. So what can the trading online voucher being used for? So, for example, I can use it to revamp an existing website, to add a sales element to it, to bring it into the 21st century, so to speak. I can build a new e-commerce website. I could use it for what other marketing and digital services can I use the voucher for?
So the development upgrade of an existing or a brand new website, that was always its ethos, but to have some sort of trading element. So the purchase of any internet related software. So anything like a booking engine, a payments gateway, any software that helps you trade online, you can use the voucher for it. Now, we didn't speak about what the voucher is and how much it is. It is a grant. It is up to €2,500. But one of the big things about that is about just before prior COVID, prior April, it was 50% funding. So if you spent up to €5,000, you got half that spend back, which was €2,500.
Sure.
And you can only get it once. The big change last April, it's now 90% co-funding. and you can go for a second one if you've got one before. So, for instance, if you spend €5,000 improving your online trading presence, you get €2,500 back. 4,000, you get €2,500 back. The cutoff is 2,750 before it flips to the 90,000. So, or the 90%, I should say. So if you have to think about that, spending €2,750, improving your online trading presence, you get €2,500 of that back, and it only costs you €250. It is a phenomenal offer, and as a result, the local enterprise offices, and I'm sure Paul will mention this, have been absolutely swamped. During the month of May alone, I trained just 4,500 people nationwide. They were just a nationwide one.
Wow.
So the figures were we've had 8,000 applications this year alone, with over 5,000 successful vouchers issued. And the great news from last week with the July stimulus is that there is another 20 million allocated. So it's going to free up the local enterprise office for a fresh round of interest. But I would urge everybody to have a little bit of patience with their local enterprise office. They have been absolutely swamped and doing an amazing job. So some LEOs are still in a pause where they're trying to kill the backlog and go through it, and they're nearly there. So bit of patience and apply for a trading online voucher.
Sure. So if you've applied and at the moment it's on pause at your local enterprise office, the guys are clearing the backlog. Have some patience; it will open up again. So
yeah, it's different around the country. Like some are granted their allocation, they're cleared, but some of the busy local enterprise offices where they have a larger catchment area, if you like, they've been under pressure because there's been so much applications coming through. But they're getting through them, which is great. It's fantastic.
Fantastic. I know Paul was saying that Cork City have been doing a great job getting through them. So
they certainly have.
So fair play, fantastic stuff. Now, you talked about you can get a second one now. So if I've availed of one in the past and I built my own website, now I want to add additional bells and whistles or functionality to my website. Now I can apply for a second one. Is there any time limit on that? So if I got one 12 months ago, 6 months ago, what's the time limit on that?
So from the Trading Online Voucher Information Seminar, if you've gone to a seminar longer than 9 months ago, you need to do a second one. Okay. But in the last 9 months, if you've attended one, you don't have to come again. You can reapply. So there is no time limit. So those that have got a voucher, used it, drawn down, and it's all clean and paid off, you can apply for a second one.
Brilliant. And a question that came in was really what constitutes trading online. I think sometimes people have a problem. They think that they need to be selling a product or service. So say I was a business coach, selling my services, or even selling my appointments as a reflexologist. What exactly constitutes trading online?
A booking engine. We've seen so many people being able to take bookings online. So an example would be somebody with a service. A driving school traditionally would have always have been a brochure website and ineligible. But we've had driving schools in the past who have applied and demonstrated some unique way of taking payments and taking bookings. So block booking lessons of 3 or 5 or 10, and to be able to do that via the website and then take payments. And Aisling mentioned opening up new markets. We've had people who are buying lessons or buying services for family members as gifts, and that's an export market. So suddenly a payment comes in from an aunt in the States who's booked 10 driving lessons for their nephew or their niece in Ireland, and it's done through the website. That's an export market, and we do focus on that. But once you go online, you have no idea where the inquiries can come from.
Yeah, I always visual marketing your business online is like word of mouth on steroids. So if you can get your word out there, it's amazing who can find you. So talking about what the voucher can be used for, then no.
So there's another slide after this that I'll go to in a second, but you can see this is not an exhaustive list. So the person of internet related software I mentioned, a digital marketing strategy. So you build a website you need to tell people about it. You can have the greatest business on the planet, but if nobody knows about it, you have no business. So you can use the voucher for the development and the implementation of a digital marketing plan and strategy, training and skills. So when a web designer builds a website for you, they normally give you 2 or 3 hours training on how to use it, use the shop and put up products and list your services. If there's a charge for that, you can use a voucher for it. And you could also use it for advertising and photography. But on the next slide, Greg, it's really important. The whole ethos was to build something. So the focus is on the design, the web development. So there's a cap on photography and advertising. When they're added together, they can't be any more than 80% of your web development costs. The reason being is you want to have something tangible left. It isn't a photography voucher. It isn't an advertising voucher. It is a trading online voucher. So build something substantial, but you can use some of the voucher for some photography costs and for some advertising costs. And you can see that that explains roughly where the caps are at. Advertising on its own is around 30%, and photography on its own will be 80% of the web development costs. Both together, 80% of the web development costs.
Okay, fantastic. And I mean, that's the advertising piece, I think, is so important there, insofar as you can build the best website in the world, but if no one knows you're there and no one can find you, then you're in trouble.
A long time ago, Greg, someone said to me, it's like a lighthouse in a bog. It looks spectacular, but it's useless until somebody can find it.
That's it. And when you're starting out in a business or you're starting to build your web presence for the first time, you're not going to appear on one of a paid search on Google initially. So it's instant access to your prospective customers' ads. So it's great.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's amazing. Now there was a question in which we'll have a quick chat about here. It's a specific question from Paul. We may not have as much info as we'd like to answer this clearly, Noel, but he's saying, if you're a business, what about going straight to the likes of Shopify to sell a craft? What are the pros and cons?
So you can use Shopify. So any internet-related software. And one of the great things about it is a monthly fee and you're online immediately. If you have products or services, you can list them there. Now, it's more product-based traditionally, but there's no reason why you couldn't adapt it from a service and a booking engine point of view. But Shopify, absolutely. But it is a monthly subscription. So just bear that in mind. It's just like a Netflix subscription. As soon as you stop paying it, you lose your Netflix. Same with Shopify. So it is a monthly subscription. Bear that in mind. We do say that from a value point of view, you're probably better off to go and build your own website and self-host it, because you get everything that goes with that, including your domain name, your email, and the website that you can constantly update yourself with various plugins and trickery that will make you stand out. When you go on Shopify, there's a list of suites of things, but everybody has the same list. You pay more, you get more. And you can be slightly limited with some of the add-ons that you can put on. But does it work? Absolutely. Yeah. And if you want to get on fast, fantastic.
Yeah. And for a business looking to sell online, the simple reality is that may be our first step. So before we get to phase 2, this may be our first step. So, there's WooCommerce is another plugin for e-commerce, which is very, very good. But I think the reality is, unless you optimize your website properly in the eyes of Google and maybe even Facebook to a certain extent, you're going to miss a trick. So there's more than just building your own website on Shopify. There's a lot more marketing behind the scenes that you may need help with.
Absolutely. It doesn't really matter what the platform it is used, whether it's your own website, you're self-hosting through one of the hosting providers, or Shopify, or the Golden Pages, who actually have a digital platform also, or Elevon, or any of those offerings. You've got to tell people about it. And I know Paul will be talking about some of the local enterprise office supports, and Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Training on how to use those platforms to drive traffic to your website is essential. And it's one of the offerings that the local enterprise office have.
Okay, brilliant. So another question came in, which I think is a great one to address. Is the trading online voucher application a competitive process? Because I think there's an issue here where we think we apply for it, we get it, and that may not be the case at all.
Yeah, no, it is a competitive process, and it always was, and always will be. So there's a good reasoning behind that. It makes you think. If you're going to sit an exam, you're going to study. You want to do the best you can. And that was the whole ethos behind it, that if it was a competitive process, you put a bit of research into it, you swat it up, if you use that analogy, like an exam on how to maximize its potential, and you want to score a high honor, you want to get a high score. It's no different for a business. We want you to do your research, to talk to suppliers. You got to get 3 quotes. You've got to. There's no way around that. The reason for it, it's due diligence, but it's for the applicant. It isn't for the Leo. The Leo want to see that you've done your due diligence, but the applicant is going to decide on who the preferred supplier is. So it's about talking to as many suppliers out there, copywriters, photographers, videographers, web designers, and then coming with a plan on how to match.
Noel's phrasing there. That's the old broadband in Cork. There he is there. We'll remove him from the screen for the moment. So it is a competitive process. So pure and simple, it is a competitive process. So the one thing that I think is absolutely vital with your application for your local enterprise office for the training online voucher is to give as much detail as possible. There's a form that you're going to fill out. Paul could probably come in, tell us a little bit about that.
I don't, Greg. I think Dave said, there's a form you fill out. It varies from local enterprise office. It's an online application process, and some people fill out an email through a PDF form. But as Noel was saying, just I suppose one of the things that slows down the process from our end, just so people are aware, just to make sure to fill out the form properly, do their homework, answer all the questions. You have to have attended the information webinar first. Some people apply without the webinar, so that's important. Get your quotes. There's also some attachments you have to show that you've traded 6 months. So that could be a copy of your CRO registration or a bank statement. They're the kind of things that will help. You're trying to limit the number of back and forth with the local enterprise office. So when we get the application, and as Noel said, just make sure don't go with your first supplier. Talk to a few different suppliers, ask for referrals from other people in business, so that you make sure when you do get if you do get the grant that you're using it as best as possible.
Yeah, so 3 quotes, really, really important. 3 good quality quotes. Where possible, shop local. Again, if you've got a problem with your website in the future, it's much easier if they're a local provider that you're dealing with. Plus, we need to be supporting each other at the moment. So that's really, really important. And like doing a really, really important exam paper like you're back in school, put as much effort into that form as you can. So you do get chosen, because this is a competitive process. So don't write 2 or 3 lines on the form, whack it back into Paul in Dublin City or in Cork City and expect a favourable response. So put the work into the form, and the first step, which is possibly doing that information session with the likes of Noel. Noel, you're back with us there, yeah?
I did. The battery ran out, so back on a different device, but there you go. So, but I think you got that. And Paul, actually, thanks for segueing in there, Paul. You have my back as normal. It was great. But it is a competitive process. And as Paul said, we want you to shop local. There's lots of suppliers in your local area, but you may find that the supplier is not in Ireland. It could be industry specific. You can use a supplier anywhere on the planet as long as they're legal, that they have proper business details. And it's not a 14 or 15-year-old whiz kid building websites from their bedroom. That's great, but you can't use them for this.
No, absolutely. And I think one really important thing about getting 3 quality quotes is to figure out what the price is. because as a small business, we don't know how much it necessarily costs. So if you get 3 different quotes and they're completely different prices, well, then you've got to do further investigation. Now, they can be promising different things, but I am sure there are web developers out there to go, woohoo, it's the trading online voucher, we can add another €500. So it's there to protect yourselves. I think that's really, really important.
Very important, Greg. And sorry for jumping in, but Paul alluded to it there. It's about a relationship. We have seen people who've got the voucher and used it, and they're still in that relationship with their supplier because it is a long term. It isn't just the voucher and getting yourself up and running. You're going to make additions, you're going to make changes to your site, and it's about finding the right supplier that you can work with. And that can be anything from web design, photography, videography, copywriting, search engine optimization, digital marketing, advertising. So it's huge, and we want people to take their time and make a valid application and be successful.
So a question for you, Noel, you're talking about ads. So we said earlier on that up to 20% essentially of the money can go towards ads or photography or combination of both. If I'm getting ads on Facebook or Google, for example, how can I get 3 quotes, or is that treated differently in the form?
No, it's not. So where you have a supplier where there's only 1 or 2 suppliers, you don't have to get 3 quotes. Sure. So the way Facebook works, and you just put an allocation in. It's 30% of your web development costs. So I think on the full voucher of €2,500, that amounts to 577. That's the cap on advertising, which is not too shabby. In other words, after building something, you can spend up to 570 quid advertising it on Google Ads or Facebook ads. Now, I'm going to declare a hand here. In the pilot phase, there was no cap. And we had people who applied to use it for Google AdWords and Facebook advertising. The money was gone in a week and they had nothing to show for it. So we realized that the whole ethos was to build something. So that's why the cap is there. It's 30% of web development costs. Photography also, we want to get away from brochure websites. So it's very easy to spend money on video and photography, and it looks fantastic, but there's no trading happening. So it on its own, photography is 80% of web development costs. So quite substantial. It's about €1,100 on the full voucher application. But bear in mind that if you do both together, advertising and photography, the cap is about €1,100 on the full voucher allocation. So 80% of the web development costs.
Fantastic. So a couple of questions that have flown in, and I think we've answered them, but I'm just going to answer them quickly. So do I need 3 quotes? Yes, we do, and that's to protect yourself. Make sure you're getting the best price and the right things for your business. I think the trick when getting your 3 quotes is compare like with like, rather than have 3 developers that are offering you 3 different things. That becomes very, very tricky. Can I still go with the most expensive quote? The answer is yes, if it's the right quote for your business. Don't go for choosing. It wrong.
You can go for the most value, the middle one, the most expensive. It's your choice, but you got to base that on due diligence by doing your research.
Okay. What do I need to provide? So I write the best application form after I've attended the information session. And I document in detail exactly how I'm going to use this voucher for. I have my 3 quotes in place. What else do I need to provide before getting accepted?
So after you do the information session, it's about 2.5, 3 hours. Time flies, but it walks you through step by step the application process. Some Leos have the application form online using a submit.com, a company down in the south of Ireland. They put it together for the local enterprise office, so it's a digital form. And some local enterprise offices have a PDF that is editable. You fill that out, or a Word document, and send it through. You answer every single question on the form to its full. If you skip a question you're not going to get an honour, and you may not get the voucher as a result. So a complete form. You put in your preferred suppliers. So you can have 1 supplier, 2 suppliers, 3 suppliers for different bodies of work, but you've got to get 3 independent quotations for each separate body of work. Yeah. You put on your form your preferred supplier, and you put the 2 extra quotes attached that you've dismissed. And that's it. It's not any. It's very different. It's not difficult. It's very comprehensive. The information session goes through it all. But what you've got to do is fill out the form, put in your nominated providers. You add up what they are quoting you. You submit that, and that is what you're applying for, and that's what the voucher will be granted against. You can't change it. So you can't change suppliers, or you can't adjust what you've applied for. So that's why we ask you to take your time and to apply and choose wisely.
Brilliant. So another question is, when I get approved, how quickly do I need to get the work done by?
You have 4 months to get the work done. Okay. We have played around with that down to the years. It used to be 3 months. It went up to 4 months. At the start of COVID, we put it out to 9 months, and it's now back to 4, because the emphasis is on getting online and getting up there and starting trading and start recovering some of the losses from COVID. So you have 4 months to get the work done. You get the work done. As the invoices come in from your suppliers, as they complete the work, you pay your invoices. Okay. And at the very end, when all the work is done and all the invoices are paid, then you submit for drawdown and you get your voucher value back. So you are paying for the full amount first, and then you're getting your voucher value back. And it's a maximum of 4 months to do that.
That's great. And so this is time to move on it. Once you're approved, it's time to move on it, not sit on your hands and wait for your opportunity to disappear. Really, really important. You pay for the money up front. I know things vary, slightly different county to county and so on. But realistically, how soon could I expect to get reimbursed after I've submitted all my invoices?
Drawdown nationally has been phenomenal. The guys are working so hard. You're talking around 2 to 3 weeks after submission for a drawdown, and sometimes sooner. It's an electronic funds transfer. So it actually is back to the applicant. You've got to make sure that everything that was listed on the form you've got done. Your CRO number was put through. Your 3 quotations match the 3 invoices that you put through and you've paid. You show proof of payment. All those things are done. It's going to go through fairly quickly. I might just mention, and Paul might take this on as well, Microfinance Ireland have been a tremendous partner and support to the Trading Online Voucher. Where somebody has had a cash flow problem, Microfinance Ireland can help towards that. And if you go through the local enterprise office, it's 1% less than going to Microfinance Ireland directly. And as a result of COVID, there's a 6-month moratorium on interest and payments at the moment. It's a phenomenal partner to the Trading Online Voucher. So for those of you that are really suffering with COVID and how the pandemic has affected their business, talk to your local enterprise office. There are supports available and a package can be put in place.
That's a great piece of advice. Great piece of advice. We'll let you in on that, Paul, because I think some people think, God, I couldn't afford to pay for it up front.
Yeah, absolutely. Microfinance Ireland, like yourselves, have been very busy. And again, in the July stimulus package that Noel mentioned earlier, there was additional funding for Microfinance Ireland. So people can apply to Microfinance Ireland. They will be opening up for applications again shortly. And if people are stuck for that cash flow situation, there is a 0 interest and no repayments for a few months for that kind of loan. So you should be able to pay if you're successful. You should be able to pay and get your grant back as well in that space of time.
Okay, brilliant. Need to get Aisling on. I'm so excited about talking to Aisling. Very quickly, just to answer this one, because we've kind of touched on this, is some of the courses and information sessions aren't available in different parts of the county at the moment. So
I can see he did one there in the Red Cow, and would it be acceptable? No, unfortunately, it's a long time, more than 9 months since we were in the Red Cow delivering them. So Cyprian would have to attend another one. Tell him to keep an eye on the website. There will be new courses listed very soon.
Yeah, so just to reiterate, there's a backlog of applications that the guys are getting through, and there will be application or online seminars popping up in your area in the near future. So keep an eye out. Another question came from YouTube. Fancy, we're on YouTube today. How does the payment process for the grant work? We've discussed that. So again, we provide the documents, and it's an electronic transfer payment. So there's brilliant stuff. So what I'm going to do now is, can I see Aisling there? She ready? We're going to bring Aisling in here now. So Aisling, how are we doing? I'm going to give you the stage now.
Hey, Greg. Hello, everybody.
How you doing? So tell us about Velvet Cloud, Aisling. So tell us about the business.
I'm doing very good. Okay, so first of all, Velvet Cloud, we are Ireland's only producer of sheep's milk yogurt, and we also produce sheep's milk cheese. And pre-COVID, our customers, our consumer customers for our product were people who were interested in their gut health, who might have been compromised in some way, recovering from an illness, or felt that they might be sensitive to cow dairy, or some other issue like that. And then the other 50% of our turnover was to the very high-end restaurant sector. So as you can imagine, when COVID hit, we lost 50% of that turnover overnight. So that was fairly dramatic for a small business like us, struggling with cash flow like most micro businesses are. And we rushed really quickly online, literally overnight. I have one of those teenagers. Well, he's not a teenager in the bedroom, but I have a 21-year-old computer scientist son. So we threw up a very rudimentary online shop to start selling online, and just to see if we could recover anything. But I also, at the same time, in parallel with that, started to look seriously at the trading online voucher. As soon as I heard it was 90%, and as soon as I read the criteria, i.e. some of it you could apply for advertising for it, I knew that this was a no-brainer. This was something we absolutely had to do. It was had to avail of. It was the perfect storm to be going for the grant. I'd always been waiting because I wanted to maximize the grant of the 2,500 and draw down 50% of it. But now I knew 90% I was going to go for it. So we applied for that. And what we applied for was, we went for the maximum amount for advertising, because we also knew that while we had a strong online presence, we weren't trading, and I needed to learn an awful lot about my online customer. I needed to know which communication channels to use. And you have to pay to do that nowadays in an online world. But I didn't know whether Facebook advertising would work better for me than Google AdWords or Instagram. Whereas with the amount of money that I could get in the grant, and that's exactly what we've been doing over the last 2 or 3 months, I've been learning which one works. And I now know where to spend my money. But thanks to Liam using money, if you like, as a learning process to do that. I also used a percentage of it for digital photography, because again, going online and trading online, I knew I had to display my food products better than I had been doing. And then finally, and most importantly for us, is we're using it to build out a much better site. We're just about to move to Shopify, working with a great e-commerce consultant, learning an awful lot around that. So they're the 3 areas that I have availed of. I certainly, picking up on a few points and a few of the questions that have been made, I would advise everybody to be very, very clear with whoever they decide they're going to engage with, and do up a defined brief for whoever, to do up a defined brief to get your 3 quotes, because what you want to be looking at when you get it back is the detail of what you're going to be provided with for the quote, and what you're going to get, and indeed what you're not going to get. What we've noticed with our businesses, what has happened is it's opened up new markets for us, and that we're a small food business. We're chilled, so we have issues with distribution. You have to have a chilled van and a cold chain. So we would have been available in shops in Dublin and in the West where we're based. But now we have customers who can buy online from us from Donegal to Dingle. So anybody who feels they're intolerant to cow dairy or of any of these issues, in sustainable products as opposed to plant-based derivative, plant-based products from overseas, they can now buy from us, and it's not an issue. Also, I suppose my next phase, and if I get my voucher done, my first voucher spent in time and drawn down in time, I would fully intend to look for a second one, and there we'd be looking to building up a trade export site, because again, there's huge opportunities overseas for us, particularly on our sheep's cheese side of the house.
Okay, Magnificent. And I think what people sometimes forget is having a really good online presence helps our offline as well as our online sales, because more people see us. So even if it's when walking into a super value, we recognize your wonderful Velvet Cloud packaging and product, and we know what we're buying. So the two things very much go hand in hand. Tell us about the ads. So you've started to, as you say, play around and figure out what ads work for your business. What have you found has worked from a digital advertising?
And I think that's what's really, really interesting point. So the first thing when I availed of the voucher and started to get my learnings and talk to the consultant that we're working with, what was very obvious to both of us is we need to do what they call a keyword analysis. So find out what people are searching for online. And I got all excited because there's lots of free online tools. You can go away afterwards and look up keyword analysis and you'll get lots of free tools. So I thought, this is mighty. I'm going to find out all these people searching for sheep's milk and where they are and what exactly they're searching for. But very quickly, I found that nobody searches for sheep's milk in Ireland, or very few, because they don't know that we exist yet, and they're not looking for it. However, through our analysis, we found out that a lot of people were searching for things like lactose intolerance or eczema or dairy sensitivity, all of these words. So actually, I didn't need to do more work on what we call optimizing our website, because if somebody actually, all 20 of them a month, search for sheep's milk, we would come up first position on page 1 of Google. However, I did need to drive traffic to the website to let them know that we existed, and that if you were looking for a solution for your sensitivity or just something, artisan that was recommended by chefs, that we were there. So very quickly, I suppose I'll share with you our learnings. We would have done advertising through Facebook and Instagram, paid advertising. And I've been learning now more recently that for us, Facebook advertising is working better in terms of conversions. And by conversions, I mean conversions to sale. So actually people adding our product to their cart. However, our SEO and our external, as you mentioned there, Greg, our external public relations that we've got, or our external work that we do, our external social media drives a huge amount of traffic to our site. So I'd be saying to any of the small businesses listening to this, looking at your analytics, both your social media analytics and your Google analytics, is vital. Every morning, I do 3 minutes every day, look at the analytics, see how many 100 visitors came to the website yesterday, where do they come from? And your analytics will tell you that. And again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, and I certainly didn't, or at least I didn't know as much as I know now, your web developers or your consultants will help you with that. And that's what's so great about this voucher. You can, get the cost of that covered. Or indeed, as Noel mentioned, you could, if you're not sure yet, if you want to go that whole line, down that whole road of investing, you could go and have a mentoring session with one of the mentors on your local enterprise office to see where you should be best applying for your money.
And I think that's really brilliant advice. I think so. We've got to know a little bit about what we're doing. I think if we pass the online sales keys to a complete stranger to help us market our business without a little bit of knowledge ourselves, that's potentially a problem. And I know Paul will talk about it later when it comes to business mentoring and even training. Just as a business owner, to understand what can be done and what is strategically right for their business to do, rather than having the wool pulled over their eyes. Not to use a sheep example there.
Very funny. Yeah, no, look, that's sorry. That's a classic. As you mentioned, I train and I mentor with the local enterprise boards as well. And over the classic one, particularly around this area of technology, we don't, as business owners, necessarily understand. So when we go out looking for quotes and proposals, we don't actually understand what we're getting back. So talk to the local enterprise, or Google it yourself. I'm happy if anybody has any questions, and I'll share my learnings with anybody if they want to contact me afterwards. But as you said, Greg, yourself, find out a little bit about what you're going to be paying for before you commit to paying for it. Absolutely, then hand it over to the expert, but don't let them, as you say, pull the wool over your eyes.
There you go. Okay, fantastic. So just then to wrap up, we really, really appreciate your time, Aisling. So you're absolutely brilliant. So
No
give me 5 tips that you'd give to a small business trying to sell more product or build more of a presence online.
Okay, online. So the first thing, do what's called a keyword analysis. Understand what your customers are searching for. So in my case, I thought they were searching for sheep's milk. They weren't. They were searching for lactose intolerant. If you don't know what they're searching for, you won't know what to have on your website. And we haven't time to go into it now, but Google decides which is the best website to present to a searcher based on the content on the website. Number two, having done your keyword analysis, create good content based on that analysis. Answer the questions that people are asking you. And you'll find very quickly, even through your offline activity, just think, what have people always asked me about my business? Answer them on your website. Number three, decide which media you should be on, and don't try and be on them all. Where's your customer hanging out? And once you decide, oh, they're on Twitter or they're on Facebook, stick with that and get good at that. Number four, look at your analytics. Learn all the time. Number five, you will have to pay. You will have to invest some money, but thanks to the fantastic support of the local enterprise office, at least while you're learning, you have some bit of a cushion there. And hopefully then by the time you've availed of your voucher, you have those learnings, because you do have to. Everybody can go online. It's wonderful, and it opens up huge global markets to us. We've all said that, but equally all our competitors can do it too. So you do have to drive people to you do have to be clever about being the best within that competitive set.
Okay, magnificent.
Was that five?
That was five. That's wonderful words of wisdom. So just before we say goodbye to Aisling, her website's velvetcloud.ie. Just while we're here. So for the best sheep yogurt, cheese, and milk in the business, you can even see where the local stockists are in your area on her website. Not to even, you can buy it door to door as well. But that's velvetcloud.ie. So a huge thank you, Aisling, for joining us today. Thank you so much. And I think without further ado, we're going to bring Paul back in to talk about some of those other local enterprise office supports. So thank you so much, Aisling. So Paul, you're back.
Hey, great.
So a quick question that came in. I'll just throw it up here before we jump in. And it may not be great news. Sometimes questions don't have the best news in the world. But David McEntee was saying many sole traders had lost their business during COVID and now have to start up in a different field, and they cannot avail of the trading online voucher as they're not trading for 6 months. Is this correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I suppose if it's a completely new business, if it's a complete new startup, it isn't. But it depending on what sector you're going into, there may be other grants if it's manufacturing internationally traded services, and you could talk particularly about a feasibility study grant or a primary grant. But it really depends on the sector. I think the best bet really is that David, if he talks to his local enterprise office and has a discussion with them. There is also obviously some potential for loan finance through Microfinance Ireland. And again, I said it's obviously a loan, not a grant, but there's a 6-month moratorium on repayments and a lower interest rate as well.
Sure. No, that's fantastic. And the reality is, if I was starting up my new business now and I couldn't avail of the trading online voucher at the moment, I'd be getting my quotes and getting prepared for 6 months down the line. I may need to build my own Shopify website myself for the first 6 months, but I'd be getting ready to try to avail of this voucher.
Yeah, as Noel said, what you start off doing may change, and over 6 months you may pivot. So it's worth. You can do it in 6 months' time, then apply for the grant.
Okay, brilliant. So let's move on to some of the other. We mentioned the microfinance loans. If I'm looking to do business and sell online, what other supports outside the trading online voucher might we want to look at, Paul?
Yeah, I suppose there's two other parts of the package of supports. I would say apart from the trading online is obviously the main part of the support, but and Aisling mentioned two of them actually. Training is a key part. All local enterprise offices want a fairly comprehensive program of training in relation to selling online. We have there are obviously now online. We have webinars on Instagram, Facebook, video advertising, maximizing your SEO. Aisling was talking about the benefits of that. and they're all either free or low cost. It could be a morning session or two sessions, and they're on fairly regularly. If you look at your local enterprise office website, part of the autumn schedule will be going up very shortly, if it's not up there already. And the likes of Instagram is very popular. And the second part, I suppose, of the support really, and Aisling mentioned that digitally she actually use a mentor. The benefit of a one-to-one with a digital mentor, again, that's free. So each local enterprise office has a panel of mentors across various sectors, but they will all have digital marketing mentors. So you can avail of a one-to-one session either before or after you develop your website, and just to look at your strategy. And it can be for one session or maybe up to 3 sessions. So that's huge. We get, again, all local enterprise offices get a lot of great feedback from that. Or I suppose our mentors are experts in their field. So the benefit of that, it's talking on a one-to-one basis with your with a mentor. And I suppose that combined package, if you avail of a trade online voucher, go on some of our training programs, because you can't just, I suppose, farm out your website. You have to know what's involved. And Aisling mentioned the need to drive traffic through your website. So you do that through your social media advertising. So the more you learn about, Instagram might be where your clients are at, or may not be, maybe Facebook or wherever else. So the benefits of that, and with the mentor, I suppose that's the complete package in relation to selling online that's available through your local enterprise office.
Brilliant. And then, so down the very bottom there, localenterprise.ie/response is the link where you can go to find out about some of those supports that are available for you. But I think the big thing that we're saying today is, don't make assumptions, folks. Contact your local enterprise office. Don't assume you can or you cannot do anything. And there was a slide that you sent over to me, Paul, which you're going to have to explain. So partnership we have up there. And I think the fact is, the local enterprise office is there to support you. Explain that slide to me there. It looks like a very exciting tug of war going on.
Yeah, I suppose we use that a lot. I suppose we would see some people avail of a service and that one-off service, and that's fine, but we have some new clients because of COVID, and I suppose we like to see the partnership over time. I suppose paraphrase the local enterprise offices for life, not just for COVID. We have people that may have been with us for years, so they might start off coming to a business advice clinic. They might then come back a few months later for some mentoring. They may avail of Granted. They may avail of our training courses. So the more we understand your business, the better, the more we can guide you. And obviously the more you can learn about what our services are. I suppose a key way of keeping up to date is keep an eye on your local enterprise office website, but also on most local enterprise offices have a newsletter, and you can sign up to that on their websites. And then again, you won't get bombarded with information, but maybe every couple of weeks or once a month, you get information on what new supports are out there. So I suppose that's part of the reason for that slide. But also the second part of that is the local enterprise offices in partnership with other enterprise agencies in your local area. So a lot of what we do is signpost people or advise people if they're looking for a specific service. So we might refer people to, say, the likes of Enterprise Ireland, we're funded through Enterprise Ireland, or could be to the local council, or maybe one of the business accelerator programs locally. So I suppose we say it's the kind of a first-stop shop. So we work in partnership with a lot of other agencies because it is difficult for people to understand what different agencies do in the local area. So if you talk to us, we can kind of guide you in the right direction.
Absolutely brilliant. So the reality is, the local enterprise office, we're with you guys for the long run. And it's amazing how many businesses go back and back and back for advice, for support, for help, for even financial support from their local enterprise office, and have been dealing with them for years. So if you guys out there haven't been working with the local enterprise office before, remember, this is the beginning of a relationship. So as regards getting in touch there, we've just to reiterate it, it's localenterprise.ie. I know the guys are bombarded with phone calls at the moment in particular. So if you're trying to phone your local office and you're not getting through, visit localenterprise.ie, find the local email address and email your local enterprise office, and the guys will come back to you. But just to bear in mind that there's massive demand for the initiatives like the Trading Online Voucher by other businesses at the moment. So just bear with the guys. I'm going to throw up a few takeaways, and then we'll wave a teary goodbye for today. And we'll hopefully see you all next week for another Lunch and Learn. But I mean, some very simple takeaways here is avail of the Trading Online Voucher if you can, but take it seriously. Get your 3 quotes and make sure that you fill the form out to the best amount of detail possible. It is a competitive process. Look at other good websites out there, maybe even outside your industry, and see who is doing a great job and benchmark against them. You can decide whether you need a new website or a website makeover. As Noel said, we need to move from an old static brochure website to an interactive website where people can take action on and purchase your products and services. Make sure your website allows your customers to buy online, book appointments, or sign up to special offers. So I love Paul's tip about signing up to your local enterprise office newsletter. So again, similar stuff. And what Aisling was talking about is ads. If you want to get seen online, make absolutely certain that you're spending money on ads to ensure that the right people see and learn about your product at the right time. And that's an absolutely vital thing to do. It's very difficult to get seen in a very, very busy digital marketing world at the moment that's so competitive. So low cost, small amounts of ads, and the Trading Online Voucher can help us with that. Aisling also mentioned Google Analytics. So make sure that we understand where people are coming from when they enter our website and what they do. So make sure that you have analytics installed in your website and you're paying attention to what's going on. Make sure your website is optimized for SEO. This is Aisling's point. Don't assume people are typing in sheep yogurt into Google because that's what they're looking for, because it's not. I remember years ago a tree surgeon being confused because no one was searching tree surgeon. They were searching cutting hedges and topping trees and landscape gardening. So speak in the language on your website that your customers speak in person, type into Google, or even speak into Alexa. Speak their language. And remember, your website should evolve over time. So another brilliant piece of advice from Aisling was answer the questions on your website that your customers ask you. And if you answer those questions, you can keep your website fresh and relevant. And that's going to keep Google happy. It's also going to keep your customers happy. So there's a few tips and tricks. I just want to bring our guest back in. Guys, a huge thank you for today. You're fantastic. So thanks for the words of wisdom. And just to reiterate, if you've got questions, reach out to your local enterprise office. Noel, enjoy the rest of your staycation down in Cork.
Thanks, Greg.
You're living the dream because you're already based in Cork, Paul, so you don't have vacation. And possibly my favorite place to visit in the world is Mayo. So you enjoy your beautiful surroundings as well, Aisling. So thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate having you today. Take care. See you soon.
Thanks, Ed.
See you guys.
Your local enterprise office, helping your business respond.